Upgrading and maintaining school facilities, a financial challenge in any district. Will San Diego Unified's latest big bond measure go over with the voters?
Mr. DeMaio has laid out a spreadsheet. I'm going to lay out a vision for San Diego.
I believe that there's a better way through reform to achieve these programs.
San Diego's longest and priciest mayoral race is gathering speed and money toward the finish line. Who's got the broad appeal beyond the party bases? Will handicap the homestretch? And fact-checking some claims from the presidential campaigns. A grain of salt, anyone?
And now, Politically Speaking with Gene Cubison.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. We're just over 6 weeks away from Election Day. There's a mountain of money yet to be spent, an avalanche of attack ads yet to be unleashed, and who knows how many mistakes to be made by candidates and campaigns. Meantime, some of the talking points are getting rehearsed, tedious, all too many debates, dull as butter knives, but don't discount the potential for tempers to get shorter, patience to wear thinner. When that happens, the fur flies, tears spill, and blood flows, politically speaking. We'll start this session with the ABCs of financing the infrastructure and maintenance of our schools, specifically Proposition Z in the San Diego Unified School District. Backers are seeking voter approval to issue $2.8 billion in bonds to upgrade aging facilities. The carrying cost would almost double the district's current property tax rate. All this against the backdrop of rising concerns over school bond financing in general and the status of San Diego Unified's work under Prop S, which was passed 4 years ago. And joining us now to parse the numbers and issues on Prop Z, Andy Berg. He is Executive Manager of the San Diego chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, speaking on behalf of the measure, and Chris Cate, Vice President of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association, speaking in opposition. Chris, we will start with you. Historically, your organization has supported these school bonds in San Diego Unified and other districts. This time, why are you guys not on board?
Thank you, Gene, for having me. First off, when you go back and look at Proposition S in 2008, the $2.1 billion bond measure, and you look at how much the district has actually spent in those 4 years.
Which is?
$370 million. That's 18% of what voters approved back in 2008. So they haven't gone through and spent all of the money yet that was outlined under Proposition S. Secondly, when you go back and look at what the district has actually spent the money on, when the district in 2008 said they wanted to make critical repairs to all of the schools within the district, actually $0 have been spent on those major repair and replacement projects. Instead, the district has been using high-risk, high-interest financing to pay for laptops and iPads for students. Those payments will last well into 2051. So you have kids who are in school today receiving those laptops and iPads. In 2051, when they're grown, they will still be paying for those technology infrastructure that was given to them when they were in school.
Andy, some explanation here in rebuttal.
Sure, absolutely. Let's address what Chris said. He talks about the money not being spent. There are a number of bonds on this ballot. All of those districts are in the same situation. They had passed bonds earlier, have not spent very much of that money, and are going out for a new bond at a higher tax rate. The taxpayers have supported all those bonds. They've chosen not to support this one. The reason for that is quite simple. We know over the last 4 years the price of housing has dropped. The assessed values of housing has actually been pretty frozen. Over a 4-year period, we've had no increase in the assessed value of housing. That's where the property tax money comes from. Historically, since the start of Prop 13, assessed values have gone up an average of 5% per year. Pretty healthy increase.
Since 2008?
Since 2008, it's been flat. Right. So if you had 4 years of 5% increases that did not happen, you would have seen a lot more money coming to each of these school districts, actually, with their current tax rate on the bonds they had already passed, and they would be able to keep spending it. Right now, there's no new money coming in off that tax rate. The only money coming in is enough to pay for bonds issued before. So the only way to get new money is to not only issue a new bond, but issue a new bond at a higher tax rate. And we're going to be honest with the voters this time and say, you know what, it's going to be $60 per $100,000 more than you're paying now, about 50 cents a day to the average homeowner in San Diego Unified, to improve your schools so construction can continue.
Let Chris jump in here for a moment.
Sure.
We've got time to air this out. Chris,
sure.
I mean, address those?
They want to be honest to voters this time. What about last time? That implies that they haven't been honest back in 2008 and what the money has been spent on. Back in 2008, they promised that they would have the platinum standard for openness and transparency. But when you ask a parent now when that project that was promised to them in 2008 will be built or how much it will be cost. They can't tell you that. They're going to promise again this time around that they'll have the platinum standard for openness and transparency. Well, they haven't been honest with voters thus far under Prop C. We will not be told, taxpayers and voters in the district will not be told how much this is going to cost total. We know how much Prop S will cost. Prop S, because of that high-risk financing, will cost between $10 and $14 billion. And we approved $2.1 billion. So we asked them again how much this $2.8 billion will cost. They cannot tell you that. They cannot tell you when the projects will be delivered. They cannot tell you how much those projects are going to cost. We can't hold the district accountable for the money that they're asking of voters, and that's why we're opposing Prop C.
Your rationale for that?
Just flat out not true. Every project is online right now. There'll be 150 pages in the ballot statement of the projects, cost, whatever, as to the order that they're being done and when they would be done. That was posted in Prop S, and then the economy tanked. Right? If you think you're going to have $250 million a year to spend, but you only have $100 million a year to spend, that slows the projects. It's pretty much common sense. And again, none of this is different than any of the other school bonds that the Taxpayers Association has endorsed. But let me add one other thing before you go back to him. He talked about the technology and spending money on short-term things. Every school bond does the same thing. We paint the buildings. We put in landscaping. We buy furniture. We buy fixtures. None of those things last for 30 years. We know that. That's part of the way we do school bonds. Hold on, that's millions of dollars worth of expenditures on every bond. However, this technology is a small part of the total bond. And when you do what we call a weighted life cycle, we asked for that. We said, what's the weighted life cycle of all the stuff we're going to do? How long is this going to last? For Prop Z, it's 29 years. It is appropriately spent, and the technology piece has improved student test scores through the roof. Your network has reported on that. School scores are going way up, and that's what the district's supposed to be doing.
And my network is calling me. Network is calling on me to take a break here. Have you absorbed all that? You want to keep that thought in mind? We're coming back to you after this short break, and we will pick things up again. And later, also on Politically Speaking, analysis of the San Diego mayor's race. Stay with us.